What's going on, Nature's fans? This is Chris again with Nature's Recreations Aquascape Artist of the Year. We are back out at the Birders Paradise. If you guys remember this project that we did 2 springs ago, it came out phenomenal, and I'm going to shoot some final footage of that backyard again because now they've got all the native landscaping in. It looks phenomenal. Can't wait to show you that. But the reason we're out here now is the homeowner was so happy with what we did before, they wanted to add another water feature in the front yard, and that's what we're doing today. We're putting in a cool custom bubbling rock that is going to be the centerpiece of their new landscape behind me here, and they're changing everything around it, which is going to make this come out even that much better. Check it out. I'm getting ready to core drill this bubbling rock. This is a special selected stone that we picked out a couple weeks ago, and today we're going to actually drill this boulder out and show you guys how we do that and the reason that we don't just purchase a core drilled stone. This one is kind of a low prof boulder. We really wanted to have a nice wide area. This client is big into birding. They wanted an area for the birds to really be able to bathe. This is actually going to give us kind of almost like a waterfall effect, because I'm planning on trying to possibly drill this thing like right up in here. We'll just have to see how the stone looks once we get it leveled out, where that water is going to shed. But let's go get that drill, see how that thing is going to work out. So you'll see as I was washing that off, you could kind of see where that water was going. I wanted to get all that lime dust off of there, and you can see the one downside to doing a core bit. You can see way down in there. Sometimes that core sticks down in there. This one was sweet. It broke free. You can see the water was going through there. All I gotta do is lift that stone up and that thing's gonna drop right out. But check out how cool that thing is. Sometimes we've had really cool ones come out and we've give those to a customer just for keepsake. This one, not too cool, but you can see all the striations in the stone, and pretty interesting to see how that thing cuts. But as you can see, makes quick work of drilling that stone. This Milwaukee MX Fuel core drill is a beast. I'm not a big fan of the battery stuff when I have huge rocks, real deep ones, because you end up going through a bunch of batteries and it just takes long. This one was a little softer and definitely shorter, so this one took no time at all. We're ready to get this thing installed and plumbed up. Check out how it's going to look. You're not going to believe how cool this bubbler is going to look right in this space. So what we've got going here, guys, we've been really debating on where to place this thing, because this is so crucial. Placement is everything. Right now we've got that shelf where that water is going to be rolling off of, mainly facing the walkway and the front door, because we've got to hide this vault. And what we've decided is we're going to try to tuck that thing right in this little nook here. So when the basin is in, we've got minimal gravel. We are going to have a little bit of a rill of water coming off here, but we're actually hoping to edge this stone or the liner right up to this stone and maybe even over here, so that we don't have that big daisy chain. We're also talking about trying to extend the amount of visible water by maybe tucking a little ledge piece underneath this point here where that water is coming off, and then we'll get additional water moving, so actually almost like a little mini stream. But this takes so long to make sure that we've got everything in place before we start digging, because we don't want to have to move this basin or that hole once we decide. So we've got everything laid out. We're making sure that everything's good to go. Now we're going to strap this thing up, get it out of here, and start digging. guys can see, we've got our aqua blocks in. Right now what they're doing is put backfill and gravel all the way around the edges. And the reason for that is we've got to pressurize and compress these aqua blocks from all sides. That's what gives these guys their extra support. We've actually constructed these things with extra panels inside because we've got a big heavy stone and we do not want to have these things having any kind of issues. So we've got extra, basically 7 internal panels there for the extra weight. So we're going to add this gravel around the edges, get this thing nice and tight. Then we're going to lower that stone to figure out exactly where, because unfortunately in this application we're so low profile, we need to actually drill through these aqua blocks to stow up that pipe. Spent a bunch of time doing the leveling of the stone so we could get this action to do exactly what we wanted. We've got this nice little pool here that the birds are going to come in and drink and bathe in, and then we're also going to seal this stone just like a waterfall, and we're going to get water rushing over that, just gently kind of falling like another secondary waterfall. But this is just going to add extra water surface. But what we really are doing is trying to use as minimal stones to edge this thing, because one of the biggest problems that we end up having with bubbling rock is you typically have this daisy chain of stone around the edge, and I just don't like the look of that. So I'm trying to make this really simple, and the focal point being the bubbling rock itself. So all we're going to have to do is set 1 or 2 small stones right up against this. We'll edge our liner there, 1 to seal that off, and we're actually going to edge the liner to the back of that big ledge, and then we're just going to have this one little slit of gravel where water drops into. Another stone over here. We'll tuck liner tight to this side here, and then on this back side we're also going to have a little bit of gravel and open area for that water to come down. So we'll just do a couple stones out here, probably over to that corner there. That way we can cover this vault box and let this water drizzle back down into the gravel. But we'll have liner tucked tight there. Same thing on that side. So it's just going to be a very clean, simple look. So when they're walking around this thing from this pathway that they're going to create, they're going to see all the sides of it. They can plant almost right up to it and not have all of that extra superfluous stone that we don't want to really see, bringing the attention right to that bubbling rock. How cool is that? Alrighty guys, we finished up this bubbler in a great amount of time. We just love the character of how this thing came out. I cannot be more thrilled. This thing actually got better every day that we worked on it. There were so many cool characteristics to this feature that we love. We wanted to really accent the architecture of this stone, and I tell you, this is the Burger's Paradise bubbler. So much cool fissures and characteristics to this boulder. I love how it's almost a waterfall all in itself, and that's exactly why I chose it. This little cubby hole where we had bored that thing out just looks perfect for the origination of this water, and then this lower shelf came out exactly how I wanted it. It's a perfect waterfall. We've got a little deep pooling section right there. This is kind of a little bit more rapids area. This little section here is going to be the pollinators' favorite spot. They just love to land right on that little wet stone, drink up the water. But check out this cool addition we did. We couldn't not take advantage of this. We saw this really cool character stone here, and we put it into the basin here and added a couple extras. So now we've got actually an extra little waterfall and stream, and it's like a mini waterfall system. It's so interesting. Every little nook and cranny and fissure is flowing just like a big mountain stream. I love it. But I tell you, the thing that I really like the most about this bubbler rock is we were able to tuck the liner right up to edge of two sides of this thing so that we didn't have that typical daisy chain of stone that goes around it to edge the liner. We really wanted to bring this right up close so that they can bring plants up to it and soften it, making this the focal point of the landscape. And I love the fact that this path is going to go all the way around this garden so they can actually walk around and view the entire feature. This ledge piece here, we found this at the yard and we said we have to make this part of this feature because we didn't want to really mess up and clutter up the design of having that edging stone. So this is actually our liner that goes all the way around the back of this, but this provides a great spot to walk right up, get close to it, touch the water, put your feet in there. The grandkids are gonna love this little piece of this feature. We actually mimic that look on the back side to try to keep the theme the same. Our pump vault is tucked right in that little area, and the other cool thing about this, there's so little gravel in this feature, and that's one of the big things that I don't like about some bubbling rocks and even some pondless waterfalls, because we've got to have such a big area for that filter to have the area for the pump vault and all the leaf debris collection. But this is a small pump. This is actually only a 2,000 gallon per hour pump that's producing all of this water action, but it's only coming up about a foot, maybe a foot and a half at most from the basin. So it's pushing all kinds of volume to be able to create this look. But if you look, we've choked down this little area here of gravel to as minimum as we can so that we don't have that big gravel bed look. I love how this feature is so simplistic and minimalistic with its design, but I also love that we were able to get that little extra rill coming off this back. This is almost like a secondary feature back here. It sounds different, it looks different. The neighbors across the street next door said that they've got their own personal little bubbling rock now. So this is going to provide a totally different look to the garden as they're going through. And the best part about that path is now we're not losing the backside of this, which is probably one of the best parts of this stone. It was so ornate and characteristic with that dark tannic acid staining and the moss on those spots that we just were enthralled when we heard that we didn't have to butt that up against that landscape, and now they're turning this entire space into a native plant bed. And actually, as I was talking to them and walking through this final walkthrough, they said, hey, we're looking at it from upstairs and we feel like this area now needs something over here. And I totally agree. We've got the big accent outcrop boulders here with the steps and the pathway coming in, and now we're talking about maybe doing a seating boulder out here or a couple accent boulders just to kind of bring this all together. We've got those back in the back by the Pondless, and it's just going to bring this entire landscape together with this whole theme. So I'm looking forward to working with their gardener on this plan, because we're going to be back putting in more stones and accents to really set off this entire garden space and to balance out this whole bubbling rock feature. Back at the Birders Paradise waterfall that we did last spring actually, and they have gotten their natural native plant scheme heavily going right now. Their designer worked on this last fall and the spring, and they've got all kinds of different native Missouri plants in here. Absolutely phenomenal how it looks. They've got up some rabbit chicken wire to protect the new growth on these things until they get established. So it's looking a little bit boxed in right now, but I love the start that they've got. Things are looking phenomenal. It's growing in really well and starting to fill in the spaces. Let me show you what this thing looks like. So here's that waterfall that we did last spring, and if you remember, we just left it pretty much mulched and having all of the existing stuff in place that they didn't have us take out initially, but now they have come in and put in tons of different native species of perennials, shrubs, plants. It's all in its infancy, so it's got some time to really develop, but I love how it's starting to come out. And this is the reason that they won that platinum certification from the Audubon Society. They've got over 65 different Missouri native varieties in their garden, and that's just the beginning, because they're doing more out front, and they've already done some, but they're taking out that turf grass. But this is the main reason that they were able to qualify, because to get platinum, you've got to have at least 50 different varieties. They well exceeded that, and it's all looking great. I know these native landscapes are a little bit odd for some people, not perfectly manicured like some folks like, but I love it because what we do, it fits in just perfectly. And once this really gets developed and matures, it's going to take on a whole new look. So right now, again, these things are just in their infancy. Give them some time, a couple seasons, and they are going to look phenomenal. All these berms just make sense now with all these plants and these big accent boulders and these big seeding stones. I love that one over there. Looks like it's getting well used. Perfect spot to sit and watch the waterfall and check out the birds. They've got this huge bird feeder here that attracts just tons of birds. We've got all kinds of different varieties here, and I don't even know half of them, but they could sit and name them all just like anybody speaking their own family's names. It is amazing to hear how many things they're aware of. And what the coolest part is they're now getting new varieties of insects and butterflies and things that they've never seen because of these plants. And they're doing some investigation on what actually is coming in and making homes here. It's just awesome to see.